Hello, my name's Griffiths and I'm the performance manager at British Wrestling. Uh, this video is being created to provide some clarification around the key areas of the recently released GBR performance program selection policy. Hopefully it will help answer any questions that people have, but if there are any areas that haven't been answered that you'd like some more clarification on, there will be a contact given at the end of the presentation, and I'm more than happy to receive questions. So looking at the objective of the policy, obviously the overall mission of British Wrestling is to develop and support wrestlers who are able to qualify for the Olympic Games. Both the current or the upcoming Olympic Games in Paris, but also looking longer term at those in LA, Brisbane and beyond. We also like to create a benchmark of performance standards that that will gradually increase, but help to raise the level of competition and standards and move us towards the levels required to qualify for the Olympic Games. But also to provide a policy that is clear and transparent and has a greater mix of objective and subjective elements. Here are the key areas that I'll cover within the presentation, the key areas of the policy. So we'll look at what the policy actually covers. We'll look at some key timelines and timescales. I'll cover the eligibility criteria, or the key elements of that eligibility criteria. The point system is probably the newest part of the policy, so hopefully I'll be able to answer any queries around that. Also look at the selection panel and who makes that up, and some of the selection commitments that are required from selection at major competitions. So in terms of the policy coverage, this selection policy will cover selection for the GB Senior Elite Squad, the LA Potential Squad, the GB Development Squad. We'll look at the World Championship selections for seniors, under 23s and under 20s. Likewise, the European Championships, we will look at the same age brackets. And additionally, and this is a new part of the selection policy that's been brought in, is we will look at those who may not be selected for a performance program, but we will still provide a UWW license. This has been brought in to allow those that haven't been selected for squads the opportunity to still meet the requirements and the selection points for the following year to a national squad. There is criteria set out in the selection policy that needs to be met for this to be offered. However, like I said, it's a new opportunity that's been brought in to open the door for more wrestlers to be able to reach the qualifying standards needed. In terms of timelines and timescales, the selection period for squads, for national squads, will be the 1st of November to the 31st of October. Clearly, that will be for the squads that have been named within the selection policy. The final selection points will be released in April each year in advance of the selection. So this gives people the chance to see what the points requirements are for selection for the coming November. Squad selections will be made by the 31st of October each year, ready to move into the new selection period. And major championships, these will be 12 months prior to selection meetings. So the timescale that we will look at hitting the criteria will be 12 months prior to that selection meeting. The dates of the selection meetings will be released enough in advance so people are aware of when they will be happening, but also have an idea of when that selection period will be. In terms of eligibility, and obviously I would recommend everybody to thoroughly look at the selection policy and each of the sections within it. But anybody selected will need to be eligible to compete for GBR in line with the UWW rules. Every athlete will need to have an active competitive BWA membership. That membership will need to remain active throughout the year of their selection. In order to be considered, then they will need wrestlers will need to compete at the British Senior Championships or the British Junior Championships, obviously depending on what age category they're in, but that is an essential requirement. Anybody that isn't able to compete due to injury or illness will consider looking at the results at the English Senior or Junior Championships, provided that a medical certificate for proof of injury or illness is provided. The details of this are within the selection policy. Also, the UWW competitions entered, they will need to commit to those that are on the GB annual competition plan. There is flexibility to open up for people to go to UWW competitions that aren't on the GB annual competition plan. However, this will need to be requested and agreed through the entry to international competitions policy that British Wrestling have created. Anyone that enters or competes at a UWW competition that's off the GB annual plan and hasn't been agreed by us, these will not be included in the consideration standards. So the main part of the selection policy, which is the newest part and probably needs the deepest clarification, is the point system. So the point system will look at the 6 best scores across the selection period. One of these points results needs to come from the British Senior Championships or the British Junior Championships, respective of age categories. As previously mentioned, if injury or illness means that a wrestler is unable to compete at the British Championships, then the English Senior or Junior Championships may be considered, providing that the medical proof of medical certification is provided. The aim of the point system is to encourage maintenance of competition level across the full year rather than a small section of the year, also to encourage better competition planning around training plans. The competitions have been placed on a tier system, which have been included in the selection policy for people to look at. This tiering rewards results and progression at varying levels of competitions. So there are 4 tiers. There's the major championships, there's tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3. Obviously points will be awarded based on progress in those competitions. So tier 1 events will score higher points than tier 3 events, and further progression through a competition will obviously accrue more points. Points will be awarded for positions only provided that somebody has won at least one match. So therefore, if somebody finishes in the top 16 positions but hasn't won a match, then those points will not be allocated to their position. At a major championships, this is different, as this is seen as they have met a criteria to make a major championships, and so they've earned that position. However, in all the others, at least one match must be won to accrue the points at the relevant positioning. There will be a points uplift for those wrestlers that are under 23 or under 20s if they're competing outside of their age group. So, for example, an under 23 competing at a senior level will accrue an additional 25% of the points. Under 20s at senior level will accrue a 50% uplift in points, and under 20 at under 23 level will accrue an additional 25% uplift. It's the athlete's responsibilities to provide the competition results to British Wrestling and proof of results. This will need to be provided to us 14 days following the final day of competition in order for us to consider them within the selection process. In terms of the selection panel, in terms of the selection panel, this will be made up of a chair who will not have a voting position, with the voting members being the BWA performance manager, the GB senior coach, and the relevant GB program coach. For wrestlers selected for major championships, there are some additional commitments following that selection. So anybody that is serving a British Wrestling sanction will not be considered for selection, but we also reserve the right to look at disciplinary record and use that as part of the selection process. Once selected, they'll be required to attend specifically identified training camps pre-competition. And we also expect all selected wrestlers to maintain a level of training and fitness that results in them being at peak performance condition come the major championship event. I hope that's provided some clarity and an overview of the selection policy. If there are any further questions or you require some deeper detail, then please feel free to contact me via email on this email address. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to moving forward with wrestling in the UK, and hopefully speak to you all soon.